Welcome back to Manufactio. Bit of a double build this weekend before we get back to our scheduled, various different games in rotation. I thought, well, I really enjoyed the last episode, actually doing stuff behind the scenes, so I thought I'd go and do some more building. I don't improve the technology level any. I've just just really reorganized the existing stuff. Just it's easier for you to understand. It's easily laid out, etc. And then we're going to improve our technology on camera and stuff like that. So just to give you an idea, well, we've cleaned up this entire room. All of the soil has gone outside. You can see we've got some wheat growing over there. It is, I think, winter at the moment. I've not got a sensor for that, but you can actually obviously see there's snow around. So that does reduce the speed of crops growing, depending on the crop, etc. Doesn't really much affect industrial hemp, which is why we're going to use it for some purposes. But things like wheat just don't really grow very well at all. So I've been doing a bit of experimentation, and I'll show you that in a second. However, first of all, in here, I've just put some more drop-in conveyors over the top of more of these advanced bins. We're probably going to move across to silos or shipping containers fairly soon anyway. But these are just sort of handcrafting stuff that I may want. And you can see there's gold popping across there. We've got a source of gold now. I've put a couple of more mines down. One that does gold and one that does lapis. Lapis is very rare. It's much like diamond as far as chunks are concerned. So if you do find a source of lapis, you are going to need it for greenhouse glass, but we're going to come to that back to that in a second. So stuff going around, and you can see I've also now got biofuel over here, and I've got slag. Slag is not automatic at the moment. That's just a manual container. However, biofuel, as you can see just then, is. Okay? I'll show you that in a second. Also, cobblestone. I have a source of cobblestone just by creating a CobbleGen 5,000? CobbleGen 5,000. Okay, so I created one of these. You trade in that basically bucket of lava and a bucket of water, and they get used up. But again, this is a very, very simple machine compared to the stuff that we've been making. You basically put them all in there along with a pickaxe in the back, and it produces cobble. So I just moved that all back in here and deconstructed the machine. It's already stuff we can make with modular machinery, and there's no point because I can't get more lava just yet, so there's no point keeping it active. Up here, I have a small biofueled, biogenerator. I did connect this via LV wire to the side of this capacitor, and the other side of that capacitor is connected to the base of that advanced solar generator. It doesn't seem to charge this from the side. I tried it on the top, didn't charge it then either, so I'm not sure if it can only accept input on one side, so for the moment that may as well not be there, but I can then use this to charge my building gadget. Okay, the one connected to the actual bio generator, I think that generates the biofuel, does not charge things. It just it will accept input, but it doesn't charge things when you put it in the other slot. However, building gadget, I decided not to be cheaty. Before I used it at all, I went into the quests and I went and spent the money on actually getting it, which is over here in exotic military. Building gadget, yeah, I did spend the 125 before doing it. Even though I could circumvent that, I decided not to. And that has enabled me to build a few things. One, that wall up there, we'll show you what's up there in a minute. And two, this short pad out here. I'm sort of running out of powered lanterns. I need to make more. Powered lanterns, by the way, really good for letting you connect wires between them. So you don't need separate relays or anything like that. They will act as relays and powered lights as well. So, brief tour then. Clean up out here. There's just some infinite water source. This is my chest that had the CobbleGen 5,000 in it. Here's an alloy kiln. Now, alloy kiln, I thought we'd need bronze, and I was a bit of a circular problem with that, but there is a sort of get out clause in the whole thing. So kiln brick. We have a look here. The reason why I thought we need bronze is because we need bricks, which need clay, which needed carpenters, and that needed bronze. However, the recipe I forgot is that, or at least I didn't even think about, is the clay block recipe, this one. Okay, so in here you can make clay with just dirt, sand, and water bucket, which is easy enough to do. Once you get a few clay, you can make the bricks, make the sandstone from just sand, and then you can make an alloy kiln. It's destructed at the moment. I did get a comment from Golrith, the mod pack creator, I think on Discord, was saying that he doesn't know where the rumor came from, that where things continue to produce pollution even when they're not doing anything. and you're saying it's more like when there's power connected to them, they produce pollution. The early game, or, you know, power as far as fuel is concerned, perhaps. In the early game, I consider those two things to be equivalent, so if you want to save on any pollution, I just knock a block out when I'm not actually using it. I made some bronze so we can get a carpenter going this episode. Also, you'll notice these. These are chimneys right next to our furnaces, and you put them on top of the 3x3 block. So 3x3 block of kiln brick, of blast bricks, and then there's one hopper there which gets absorbed into the multi-block. So put your chimneys right alongside that, and as long as they're actually running, they'll send pollution up the chimney. Now, if the chimney fills, I think they can then produce pollution into the area around us. So I then, I'm not sure if I showed this last episode, whether I built it last episode or not, but I have a respirator. It's now up to 71%. Okay, so a respirator lets you breathe in polluted areas just fine. It needs some leather, however, and a gas filter. I'm not sure what happens when this fills up, because I don't really have a source of leather too much. Loot bags, perhaps. We can get turn in red side. Do we have a loot bag opener? We do have a bag opener. We just don't have a way of getting automated loot bags yet. So, yeah. We may have to think about a source of leather. We don't really have it out here because it's a void world. So the chimneys go up into the room above, and all that's up there at the moment is plants. Lots and lots of plants. I'm going to show you that in a second. Other than that, there's not much change in the base. I've just moved the trees out here so I can go through them all. I'm going to need some kind of... well, there's no lumber axe in the pack, but something that will automatically knock down those trees will be very beneficial. Wheat, because it is really slow growing, I've put a fair amount of it down just to get me a bit more bread. And then occasionally plants die as well, so you have to be a little bit careful. But yeah, out here it's fine. This is the greenhouse glass I was talking about. This, along with pollution in the area, will apparently combine to make plants grow faster. Haven't seen much out here, perhaps because there isn't much pollution in this area, but apparently it does. So I will take the Bobpack Creator's word for it. Greenhouse glass. This is an expensive recipe. It needs cyan dye, and that unfortunately is cactus green, which is really cheap. It's just 5 biofuel for 2 cactus green. And then it needs lapis or blue dye, and then that means you have to get it from, you know, some sort of blue dye, and that's pretty much lapis. Okay, and lapis, of course, is something we don't have a lot of. I have a lapis chunk that is you're probably too dark for you to see, but it's right there. It produces iron as well and copper, but yeah, the lapis chunk does help, but it only produces 1 occasionally. There's only about 300 in that chunk, so bear in mind I don't have a huge amount of greenhouse glass. Now, let's go on to our sort of greenhouse area. I moved the biogenerator up there because up there is being generated basically hemp and seeds, and then we automatically process them just like we did inside before we're next to the plants. The only difference is there is an extracting conveyor belt attached to the output, which then has this conveyor belt which drops them like that onto this one that's going into the rest of our storage. For now, we may all do other things with it later. That biofuel you can also use for power, or you can use it for generating. Sorry about the noise, I'll show you what that is in a second. Again, it's not a technology improvement, I promise. It's really not an improvement, but I sort of had a go at a vanilla automatic farm. But yeah, here is, I know it's a little bit dark, but here is lots and lots and lots of industrial hemp. And if you want to do it this way to absorb pollution, you can build something like this. You can see there's a little bit of sulfur in here, and there's some carbon. The carbon should get absorbed. You can just run around and break the tops of the hemp. Like this. And you can do this manually, or you can figure out an automated way of doing it. I would much prefer automated, of course, but initially to get started, to get rid of the pollution, you can go with a manual farm, which does not take very long at all to clear the entire field, as you can imagine. So out of that, I've got a bunch of hemp and a bunch of seeds. Over here, I've also got some more wheat growing and stuff like that, but nothing that's worth worrying about. Over here, you can see I've got 2 boxes, so I can put in the seeds and the hemp, and they are dropped down straight into the machine, the bioprocessor, whatever it's called. And then over here, we've got this thing. Now, this thing is an automatic farm. It's not a terribly good one. I'll show you why in a second. But it's all vanilla stuff. It's got some repeaters here, just a lot of them, so I can vary the amount of time the pulse takes. So if I want to make it longer, I can. Okay, like that. Okay, there we go. And this is just basically pulsing. So you have it on for a certain amount of time, then off for a certain amount of time. The reason why it's not so good is that in here, these pistons are pushing the tops of the hemp off onto this conveyor belt, and which then pops down into these hoppers, which is going into these, not hoppers, hopping or dropping conveyor belts into our containers. It's not good because this is on for half the time, off for half the time. I haven't really such a pulse kind of mechanism for this, but what you really want is for it only to be out and then back in again, rather than out and then wait and then in, because otherwise they won't grow when the pistons are out. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward setup for that kind of thing. It's very, very vanilla. We can do better than that pretty soon. So yeah, just bear that in mind. And that's all I've really done off camera. Again, no technology improvements. So, oh, I need to replace that glass block. Inside, I built some shelving units. The quest last episode did tell us we can build them. All you do is build them. They take a fair amount of iron bars and stone, which is why I needed cobblestone. Once you build them, you can start adding chests to them just by right-clicking chests onto these shelves, and it adds more capacity. They act as a searchable interface, much like Planet Logistics, but with less features. If you go in here, you can type in, I don't know, hemp, maybe. Do we have any? Yes, we have hemp. So if you want that early, you can get it. You can choose between the different levels here, depending if you've got any chests stored in those levels. And I've not used any more than this bottom shelf yet, and that contained pretty much at least 6 or 8 double chests worth. So yeah, there's plenty of room in this, at least for this initial setup. And then the same things here, just with some red and green science that I happen to make. And I moved the laboratory and the assembler for it out here because it was producing pollution. There's still a little bit of pollution in there, some carbon. I didn't really want that. It's on the outside, I think. There it is. Yeah, there's some carbon. I didn't really want that inside my little capsule, just in case. So I moved it out here. And this does exactly as it did before, except it automatically feeds in, which is to say that this thing can produce the research from the science packs, and this thing will just consume them as before. Nothing excessive there, and we are just passing the electricity down LV wire from the solar power capacitors. All good? Good. Now, why don't we have a talk about what we can do today? I have some red and green science available, of course, as you might imagine, or research, I should say. So we can have a look at what we can go for. One of the things we're going to need to go for is this automation and logistics, both of them. Despite whether it doesn't matter whether we use the stuff or not, but we are going to need some of the stuff that's going to give us access to. So in logistics 2, yeah, so we have a faster conveyor belt, but it says, unfortunately, Manufactio conveyors have a big impact on game performance, so use with caution and for short runs. That is 100 of each. That's fair enough. And then in automation, we have automation 2 over here, which is only 80 red research. And that gives us the standard assembler, which lets us build things with up to 3 solid ingredients and 1 fluid, or 4 solid ingredients, respectively. So that's an improvement on our basic assembler that's outside. So they're like different tiers of assembly machine in Factorio. And then I think those are the first 2 I really want. The oil processing will probably be one of the next ones I want to go for. Again, is 100 red and green. So you can see we're going to need lots of red and green science, hundreds of it to get started. I have a little bit, but I don't have a lot. Well, I have more red than anything else, but I don't have a lot. So we're going to need to automate red and green. Before I do that, if you haven't used building gadgets and why it's so important, if you're in a void world, do I have any planks or wood? I have some wood there. Let's just grab that for a second. Let me just convert this over to planks. Yeah, and it's daytime, so we can just go pop up to the greenhouse level. Oh, in fact, I need to go and convert those into half slabs, not planks. Half slabs, please. Yeah. Okay, all the half slabs in the world. And we'll just go back up to our greenhouse. You can see I've made the walls with hardened stone. The roof is just the same glass using a chisel as the initial void base, just keep the style the same. I don't have really any other major blocks I can use, so I used hardened stone and then glass on the top. It's not complete yet, but it's getting there. And because it's winter, I keep on getting snow on top. But you can see that's the amount of pollution that's trapped on the inside, and hopefully the plants are going to be absorbing most of that. Over time, that should mean that the chunk gets less polluted, but we'll see how how that turns out in practice. Anyway, if you haven't used building gadgets before, it's Direwolf's mod. It can do a whole bunch of things. Some of the most important ones are build to me. So if I go over here, for instance, and it's set, if you shift right click, you can set it to any block you like. So it's set to this, this half slab. If I want to say build this into a 2 wide thing, I can point at a block and it says range 10. I'm going to bring it to range 15 and right click, right click, right click, and right click. So that's really easy. You don't need to do just that though. There are other modes. The most useful of which I find are things like horizontal wall, which is a floor. Let's put it that way. And I can then put down an entire floor like that. And that lets me fill in these areas really easily without much of an effort. So I do like things that don't make me have much of an effort. So there is pretty much this all filled in. Cool. Yeah, I like that very much. World and Direwolf for that mod. It's like a builder's wand, but much better. And there goes all of those half slabs all at once, and we have a nice surface to walk on. Obviously not quite as important if you're in a regular world rather than one of these worlds, but hey, that's that. Another tip I got from Frogman, who's also a YouTube channel, who is making videos as well, so you're more than welcome to go and take a look at his channel. He's got some good stuff over there. He's playing in a normal world, not a void world. See just how much pollution there is now. Yeah, so he mentioned about Bandits Armor. So I converted over and changed from Soldiers Armor to Bandit Armor. So Soldiers we made last episode, and there it is with this heavy cloth. Of course, we can make that heavy cloth with the tough fabric, which comes from hemp, and we essentially have a lot of hemp. I'm just automatically consuming it for the moment, but if we wanted a lot of it, we didn't need to. We don't need to convert it into biofuel. We can just use it as is. If we have a look at the Bandits Armor, it's if I press shift, it gives you less protection, but it gives you a move speed bonus in the case of 3 of the pieces. Because the 4th piece also gives you fall damage protection, or less fall damage, and obviously fall height -1, so you can fall from a little bit higher without doing any damage. So quite useful for me, as I'm often dropping down off the edges and stuff like that, as well as, well, nice move speed improvements if I want to run around, or even if I want to walk around, it's a move speed improvement. So yeah, I don't want to run around too much because of the lack of bread so far, but this gets me where I need to go. So some of the burner drills I've disassembled, one over there, because they do produce pollution all the time, no matter whether they're out of fuel or not, it seems. It'd be nice if the rules were consistent for that sort of thing. I would prefer if they didn't if they didn't produce pollution at all. If they aren't doing anything, they shouldn't be producing pollution as far as I'm concerned. I know it's a copy of Factorio, but hey, just from common sense rules. But that's just for me. It's just something that is a bit of a niggle, but no big deal either way. You can always just deconstruct one block and put it in the chest alongside. Bear in mind that you will need to get the metal drill head out of it first. If you want to improve the speed, there are multiple drill heads, including diamond drill heads, which are very, very useful to get going much faster. But of course, then you have to have more and more furnaces, which you need anyway, to get that going. So, you know, be careful and consider what you want. Anyway, automating red and green science. We're going to have to, or at least red science, we're going to have to build some more assemblers, I think, and maybe some metal presses. We could throw, let's just have a look at press. What about metal press solid mold? We need some steel, so I need to just grab some time from a furnace somewhere. It can be made in a basic assembler. We can make iron gears in that if you want to, or you can use a metal press to do it. We need 4 iron ingots for this one, and we need iron plates, 2 iron plates for this. And we can have a metal press mold. Use that in a metal press. And how many does that cost? That costs 1 to 1. Okay, so we can spend 2 iron to make a gear instead of 4. And basic assemblers would use 4. So if you want to be the cheapest possible, and we probably want to be cheap, we can make 2 iron gears out of 4 iron ingots, which is the cheapest we can get. We can combine those with 2 copper for the red science pack recipe. Now, right now, I don't have any way of filtering off or filtering easily. That is the incoming belt, because the incoming belt to my personal storage is just one belt. Okay, I've not got dedicated furnaces for this kind of thing. I'm perfectly happy, however, for red science if I just go and grab a whole bunch of iron, a whole bunch of copper, throw it into a machine and walk away, and it just processes it into research and dumps it into a chest for me, or these bins. Either way, I don't care. If that's automatic, cool by me. So we need to get started by making metal presses then. We need at least 2. So we need 1 to make iron to iron plates, and 1 to make from iron plates to gears. And then we're going to need an assembler to combine the gears with, well, let's just make sure that the assembler can do the job. Science, red science, assembler, basic assembler, will take 1 copper ingot, so we'd save on copper as well. It's not just 2. In fact, it only takes 1 iron gear. Oh, that's even better. So it's going to take us 2 iron and 1 copper per red science. I'm happy about that. Okay, fine. So let's go ahead and do that. I need to set up for metal presses. Okay, for metal presses, we just need steel. You can make basically 6 steel ingots into 6 steel scaffolding, which is more than enough for 2 metal presses. You can also do it with 6 steel plates, gets you 12 steel scaffolding, but right now that's false economy. Right now we have to use a basic assembler for steel plate, which is 2 to 1, so that's just the same as this recipe. Once we get a metal presser, however, or at least 1, we'll probably have 2 or 3 at least to get started, then we'll be able to make 1 to 1 steel ingots to steel plates. So I put a couple of stacks into of iron into our furnaces, something like 65, so that's going to make what, 12, 13, 26 steel overall, I think. Yeah, so I'm just going to grab a few of those, so 6. And let's just say I'm probably going to need some more anyway, aren't I? So why don't we just get these going? Or is it something like this recipe? Yep, that looks like it. So there's our steel scaffolding. And then we're going to need engineering blocks. I've already got a couple of pistons and 4 conveyor belts. I'm going to make 2 metal presses. Factory block, redstone engineering block is going to need iron, copper, and so let's go iron, copper, redstone. Easy enough. Let's make that, and yeah, you know, we're probably going to need a few of these anyway, so let's just make a bit more while we're at it. And then we need some probably heavy engineering blocks, needs gold, and some more pistons, and some steel mechanical components, which need steel and this. So I want to be a bit careful about my steel use, it seems, at least a little bit. Let me just grab a bit more. So let's put that in place. So let's just take 2 of those. And this does make 2, so that's good. Oh, it needs electrum. Interesting. We're going to need our alloying kiln back, assuming that can actually make it. Yes, it can. It's just gold and silver, which is fine. I'm just going to make a batch, so let's say 10. Grab the ingredients. I'm just going to go and put the kiln back together, which takes literally 1 click. Oh. I should mention, I have sentry turrets now. Up there is a sentry turret. I'll show you it. It hasn't got a huge amount of ammo, and it's not terribly good in terms of damage it does. Those dragons that pop in occasionally take a little while to get killed by one of these things, but they are enabled really easily by this research. I've got 43 out of 100 minigun ammo. So yeah, basically I've got 1 on each corner. There's 1 on that corner as well. Creepers get unlocked with certain research, so clearly I've got an unlit area that is able to be spawned on right now somewhere. I'm not sure where it is. It came from over here, and this is all half slab, so I'm not sure exactly where that came from. I'll figure it out anyway. It's probably on some of the earth in there somewhere. Can't really do much about that. Anyway, creepers, wonderful in a void world. Anyway, alloy kiln it is. Let's go back to this. I'll pop that in place. And we need our engineer's hammer. There we go. So there's our kiln, and we will just get one of you, and dump that in. So that's going to convert across into electrum. That's going to make our heavy engineering blocks, well, possible. Is there anything else needed there that we don't have? Iron, copper? No, it seems like stuff we already have. So that's perfectly fine. Let me just put the recipe in. And I'm going to need a couple more pistons, aren't I? I think I've made it lots of extras, so that's not a big deal. Pistons, there we go. Oh, well, I've used most of them in that sort of automatic terrible farm upstairs. Okay, so let's just grab some electrum. We only need one piece to get it started. There we go, we've got 3 already. And there's two heavy engineering blocks. There's the redstone. We've got everything we need, I think. We can also check in the manual. I've got everything I need for one of them. I need 2, so that's perfectly fine. I'm probably going to need a couple of hoppers, so let me get some of those. 13 of them. Let's see. I'm going to need a few. Let's put it that way. And then, do I have any chests left? In any of here? No. Okay, I'm going to need to make more chests, which probably means I need to go and chop more wood. But a little bit, but not a huge amount. That's enough for a couple of chests, isn't it? That's not a problem. Okay. Right, so now we have everything we need. I'm going to wait till the sun comes up, and then I'll put together the metal presses. Okay, just because I've got the connector on this side, I could remove it to here, I suppose. I've just put a couple of hoppers down, and that'll feed in from here. That's going to be the copper and input, and then the other input from here is going to need to be the metal presses. So to get started with that, just think about where we're going to lay them out. We're going to want the final thing perhaps to be into there, which means I probably want a chest on top, assuming that our metal presses can actually feed straight into the chest. We'll see whether that's actually the case. And then on this side, we're going to want to then construct our metal presses. So I wonder if we can just feed them in series, one after another. That might be interesting to find out. I think it's like this. Okay, I'll knock the leaves away. And then we need to get a couple of conveyors running. So we need our conveyors sort of running that way. Okay, and then we need a couple of blocks in the middle. So I'm going to put some steel scaffolding up for a start. Yeah, I'm going to take this out again in a second. Put steel scaffolding, and then my heavy engineering block on the top. Take the steel scaffolding out, and then we'll let's put the piston in, facing this way. Not that way. It'd be nice to actually face down. Can I not change this with... okay, let's see if I can actually get this to face down. Can I go underneath here, maybe? I don't probably can't, but let's give it a try. No. I wonder if this will form without me actually getting the right direction. If I just right-click on you somewhere, it doesn't look like you will. I need to get that face in the right direction. 1 second. Right-clicking with the wrench does work. I just thought it didn't. Okay, that should be everything it needs to actually form, I think, if I've got everything right. Just check the book. Engineer's manual. So it's 2 steel scaffolding, the redstone, everything else. That is everything it needs. Yep. And then click the piston with an engineer's hammer. There we go. 1 metal press. And then we're going to need to connect this up to everything else. So let's get rid of that from the top. We need to get a LV wire connector. Okay. And then I'm going to need the, I'm going to need to go and create that gear press. So let's go and get that done. So gear press. Just 5 steel. And I think I already have 5 steel here. Yep. So I can go and create that. Metal press plate mold. And then I also need the other mold in here, probably. Yep, there's the plate mold. And let's get that down again. Hopefully we can run these in series, but we'll see. So let's just get the other one down, just so that you remember. I remember, which is good. And 1 there. Let's just put the piston down since we can rotate it. Okay, and then the not steel scaffolding, the heavy engineering block. Okay, and we can rotate that into place. Get our conveyors. That should be done as well. Cool. We'll get that hooked up too. I need to get the wires hooked up, but that's fine. Hopefully this isn't going to cause any sort of power issues with, you know, flammable things. Need to be able to get on top. Oh, that's the other thing the Bandit Armor will do for you. It can let you jump up 2 instead of 1, which is very, very handy. Oh, no, not you. You. We're going to hook up to this. Watch yourself with With even if it's low voltage, it can still be quite dangerous. Can I click you yet? Ah, okay, fine. Aside from me nearly zapping myself, that is that's that done. Right. So then we have our gear press. Then we have our metal plate press. And then I'm just wondering whether these will extract. If not, I'll need another hopper. So let's just put a hopper in and let's assume that that's the case. And that, I think, is ready to go. Why don't we give it a test and let's see. It's got suddenly got power. Let's give it a test and let's see if this thing actually starts. And other thing about the respirator, by the way, you can't eat while you're wearing it. Rather realistically for Minecraft. And you can shift it back in once you've got a bauble going. Okay, so let's just take, I don't know, 3 stacks of iron. 3 stacks, well, that's not stacks, that's singles. Yeah, let's make 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And yeah, it should be equal numbers, so that's good. So, 3 stacks of iron. Yep, that's working. Will you feed directly onto the next one? Yep, you will. That's working as well. Ow, ow! Ugh. I must watch out about that whole thing. And then 3 stacks here. And we should, if I can click on the right block, yep, it's already processing. So that should turn into red science. Oh, red science, which goes into our laboratory, which is going to pop out here, which I need to actually handle that somehow. Probably with an inserter or something like that. An extracting conveyor will work as well. And straight into a chest. So, you know, straightforward. I'm going to need a bin for that. Do I have any spare bins? I probably have a spare bin up here. Yeah, I do. Let's grab that. Okay, and we'll have a separate laboratory for making green research. It's not worthwhile trying to keep those the same. You can see my power is dying. So that's the next probable task I'm going to need. Because that power is being pulled over there to the metal presses. And this is not providing power right now. So what I'm just wondering is, can I just get rid of, say, you? Okay. And why don't I just connect you directly? So 1 from there to there somewhere. Okay. So now you should be working. And yep, you are. You're providing power. You see it's coming out on the right hand side there. And of course, it's going to use up our biofuel, of which I've got 1,000 biofuel available in that bin. So everything's good there. And then I'm just going to put this other bin down. And then, you know, inserter or, you know, whatever you want. Extracting conveyor belt. Let's try the extracting conveyor belt because I've only used that once up there and I haven't really showed you it before. So it's worthwhile actually using conveyor. Conveyor, yeah. And then they want the extracting one. And it's just extra iron, so it's really easy. And there's a covered extracting conveyor belt, so you can't pick up the items in there. So I think that's actually steel scaffolding. Interesting. I don't need that for the moment, but that's actually quite a handy thing. Just basically because then I don't actually can't pick up stuff on that line right there. Is there a regular covered conveyor? Covered conveyor? Because it is irritating me every time I go past that. It is just steel scaffolding, so I need a lot of steel, basically. Can't do it right now, but fairly soon we'll have an automatic sort of steel production. Let's go that way. Whoop. And there you can see. So, automatic red research done. You just need to basically put stuff in, you know, iron and copper, and that's fine. There is also a splitter, by the way. So if you did have a dedicated iron and copper furnace of some kind, or iron and then copper, it's not splitter, it's splitting, sorry. Splitting conveyor belt. That will basically let you obviously split them equally, I believe, and I don't need that just yet because it's all mixed at the moment. And what I'm probably going to end up with is an area where all the stuff is stored, and then the output of that system will go across to wherever I want red and green science being done and research and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty much up to date for the moment. I think that's looking pretty good. And unfortunately, that brings us to the end of the episode. I know it's been most of an update sort of episode because I've been doing a lot of building, but we have got automatic red science now. I don't need to even worry about that. Green science is next up. I don't think that's going to be too much trouble. Let's just take a look at what green science needs. green science is going to be, no, let's just look for basic assembler. It will take in basic assembler. Why would you need green science packs for a green science pack? That makes no sense in a standard assembler. So let's just assume basic. So yeah, we just need an inserter, and that means we need to make gears and iron ingots. That's fine. We can probably split that up, although we need to split in a certain ratio to make that work. Basic control circuits is yet more iron. It's copper and redstone. I think that's pretty much it. Basic conveyors can be fed into a basic assembler as well, and that will make those. So yeah, we've just got to figure out the ratios for feeding in ingredients and how we can split them up, and that'll be green science, green research automated as well. It's pulling all the power from something else as well. I think this is probably because this is out. Yeah, it can't produce enough power for the power draw from these things. The metal presses are not completely idle, must be said. Yeah, they're out of power. Okay, so maybe next episode we'll maybe automate green research, but maybe we should think about power generation. That's probably the next thing to go for. I obviously have a lot of coal available. That's going to probably produce a lot of... if we go for coal generators, for instance. We made them already. It's going to produce 40 RF per tick, which is terrible. Absolutely terrible, in fact. So I think in the research sort of, or the quests that we can get, there is already something we've got, I think, somewhere. Steam power, boilers, something like that. I've seen it somewhere. Power, obviously a power tab. Okay, so steam power, boilers. So yes, key to generating a lot of power at the start. To get started, build a boiler, multi-block structure, variable size, yada yada yada, and then fluid pump to extract steam, and then presumably that's going to get processed somewhere. So we're going to need that one. We just need to build the components for that. We don't need the research. That's going to build into a steam generator, and then improve steam power as we go down there. Or you can go through solar energy and get access to that, but of course that's only during the day, and that's only the terrible solar version. The ones we've got on the roof right now, the advanced solar panels, we've got 2 of them free, and that takes a lot of other stuff to actually build. So we're gonna have to deal with steam power and probably the pollution that gives off, because hey, it's gonna be using coal. I would imagine we can feed the coal automatically from over there. That's not a problem. And or we can build a platform out there that just basically consumes it over there. So yeah, not sure. What do you guys think? Hopefully you've liked what I've done so far. Hopefully you've not spotted anything that is particularly horrible. Although I think what we're probably going to do next is replace that horrible automatic farm with this timer from Project Red integration, which is really quite nice. This just needs circuit plates, but it needs lead plates. Lead plates are a little bit hard to make, or at least they were, until I got a metal press. Okay, they needed to go through a metal press plate mold, and I didn't have one until just now. Before that, you can't make them any other way, apart from a rolling machine, which we can't actually make either. So yeah, now that we have metal presses up, or at least sort of up, we're able to make lead, and that means I can use that timer to replace all of the default Minecraft repeaters with just like one block that just ticks every so often. And it's going to be really quite easy to use that instead. So if you have any ideas, you can put them in any comments below, give advice for your fellow players. But until next time, that's going to be pretty much it for this episode. If you're not a subscriber, you can already click on the bell for notifications if you are a subscriber. Or if not, just like the video if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, as always, guys, thanks for watching.